Hello everyone, just want to show you something importanty. Yep. You notice that white stuff out there? That's what we call sky cocaine. Welcome to February in the Tualatin Valley of Oregon. So welcome back to the series I'm doing on mass transportation, specifically focusing here in Cascadia, because of course I have a bunch of different videos. I just wanted to show you the complete systems so far. Purple indicates viaduct or elevated rail. Lime greens or electric greens indicate transfer points. Those are transfers from, say, viaduct to ground or viaduct to tunnel or vice versa. Orange is tunnel and yellow is at grade, meaning on the ground, at level with the roads. So here we can see the Oregon LYNX. So you might wonder, why don't these go all the way up into the Portland Metro proper outside of this one? Well, it's because of the fact that some of these connect directly to metro lines. I highly recommend you check out my complete metro network video, along with the one where I added 2 more lines, which is the latest one in this little series of videos, because one of them goes from Gresham and it connects down at this station here in Sherwood, thus connecting up to this rail line. So with that said, we're going to start off with the improved WES. So, of course, as you might expect, with the name WES, this is the improved WES line. Effectively, I decided to call it a Better WES to mock TriMet's A Better Red project, which has not made the red line better. It's actually made it far worse. Very fun stuff. So, of course, it's going to do something similar to the WES, except it's not going to be anything but on its own rights of way. So this, as we said in the key, equals tunnel. So the idea is it's going to tunnel underneath and have a stop right here in the center island of Beaverton Transit Center. And that's stop number 1. Stop number 2, of course, is still the Cascade stop, Tigard Transit Center. I'm going to bypass the park and ride, and I'm going to actually have the stop here. If you recall, in the last video I did, the adding 2 more metro lines to the Portland Vancouver Metro network, there was a stop that curves like this. There's a slight overlap. This is where you would go and access that stop, and also you'd be able to cross Interstate 5 and its on-ramps and off-ramps via going into that station and passing through it. So that's the idea of the connectivity here. Plus, this is a huge station because it also accommodates, of course, the Cascadia ICE line and thus IC lines. So then we go from here in Tualatin to, of course, another big stop, which is not shown here in Wilsonville, because, of course, again, the Cascadia ICE at least will be stopping in Wilsonicsville. Another one that you don't see here is a Woodburn stop that's also going to be on the Cascadia ICE line. And then, of course, it would go down and have a stop here in Kaiser, at Kaiser Station, because this is where they, for some reason, put their transit center for Kaiser, which I find to be, so Chariots did, which I find to be just bizarre. But at the same time, this is the main exit that most people are going to probably take to get to Kaiser. So naturally, this is a Chemawa, is what this road is. This is where you're going to stop at. And then, because it's next to the transit center, naturally, you have direct access to the rest of the Chariot system via the bus lines. And then, of course, I decided with the Better WES, you're going to have a stop in downtown Salem, which then gets you a better connectivity to West Salem, which is actually larger than you think. And then, of course, finally, last but not least, the stop down here, which I believe it's another ICE line for Oregon LYNX. But that is the Better WES. So South Salem also gets a stop too. So Kaiser, downtown Salem, South Salem. So as you can see, this connects directly to the what I called the Southeastern Valley line. Okay, so of course that means that the South Salem stop is now here. And of course this one is going to go wind down, follow I-5 for a bit, then curve off. And then of course you're going to bypass Albany so you can hit up Lebanon, and then of course hit up Sweet Home. And this is going to be a weird thing because you can see it's going to go like this, And then hitch up to Sweet Home, since Sweet Home stretches out to, I think this is technically Mill City, out to, God, I can't remember. Is that Foster? I think that's Foster, because this is Green Peter. Yeah, so that's Foster Reservoir. And then go back this way, come back around, and of course weave through the south end, because there's this random hill here that's just by itself. Random isolated island of ridgeline. It's going to curve, of course, and it's going to transfer into ground layer for as much as it can. And then, of course, it's going to stop at 2 different Eugene stations. So we have the station that goes right here for Osden Stadium of the University of Oregon. And then it's going to go underneath the river. And it's Sloch. And it's going to go over here and connect into the Eugene Center station, basically. Our downtown Eugene station. So it's kind of halfway between actual downtown Eugene and, of course, the actual U of O complex. The fun thing is that there's this, I can't remember the name of the park for some reason. I actually have a video where I explored a large portion of this riverfront park on the south side. I mean, this riverfront park is awesome because the trail system just keeps going and going. And it obviously attaches you about up to here to Autzen Stadium. It attaches down here to the actual university complex. As you can see, it just keeps going. It's really cool because you just have this constant connectivity of all these different areas and neighborhoods all throughout the Eugene Springfield area, and it just keeps going. There's actually paths all along this north side too, along the Beltway and the Beltline. It keeps going, as you can see through here in these wetland parks. I mean, it's one of the most expansive and most awesome greenway / park systems that I have ever seen in my life. And I think it's just fucking rad as hell and super fucking awesome. And I have to praise the city of Eugene and Lane County for that. It's just super rad. So, again, you have a really cool connectivity to the different lines through here. So I think that that's really smart, really cool. And plus, therefore, you have multiple different lines and options to be able to access odds in the stadium, which, again, I think is just intelligent. Let's do the West Valley line now. So this one's going to stop at this Eugene station, the downtown, if you will, or center Eugene station. And it's, of course, going to continue on underneath until it can transfer to a viaduct. And naturally, it's going to continue. And I considered stopping at Malone Sweetfield, which is Eugene's airport, but nah. And then just let LTD take care of that. And then Junction City, of course, gets a station because, as you might expect, well, a lot of people will probably complain and say that's too small of a town to justify a stop. I disagree because, A, most of the rest of the world will stop at towns even smaller than Junction City does. And therefore, I could not disagree more because it's good to get, again, as many options and as much connectivity between places like these as possible. So now, people who live in Junction City can directly access the rest of the rail network, including Oregon LYNX or Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail or Cascadia ICE or IC. They can access it via these stations and also via LTD. They have a perfect opportunity to access Eugene proper and thus use LTD to get into Springfield. But most of the time they wouldn't be driving, especially considering they'd be right here and they could just walk across if they didn't want to wait for that other LYNX line. To connect them up here into the Autzen Stadium, because that's probably what most people are going to be going to the university complex for, especially in places like this. But also employment center, the main place is going to be down there. So again, it makes sense. And then, of course, you head north past Corvallis Airport. And there's a stop right here, which shows and indicates there's 2 lines that go through here. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Of course, this is the home of the Bucktooth Losers. If I had to choose a college, I hate college sports so much, and I don't understand why people like college so much. But if I had to choose a team, it would be the Bucktooth Losers. It would not be the Quacks. So then you pass by Corvallis, and then you go up and into Independence. And this is Independence. I can't remember the name of the other town with Independence. They're twin towns, but and then into Dallas. Yes, we have a Dallas, just like we have a Phoenix. And then, of course, the rest of the way up norte to McMinimanville, which is always fun. And then, of course, last but not least, or not last but not least, next to last but not least, bypass Lafayette, and you end up going to, is pass through Dundee, and you end up going into Newburgh. So Newburgh. This is I actually hemmed and hawed on this station location for quite a bit of time because of the development patterns and how they're expanding, seeking to expand Newburgh. They're expanding up towards Chehalem Mountain and Bald Peak. They're expanding south a bit, although more industrially. And then, of course, they're expanding especially west. So since they're expanding north, and since they're expanding west, but you have the bypass down here, and you build freeways, and they will come, so... Yikes, in fact, actually, speak of the devil, that is disgusting. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh yeah, they're gonna build, you can already see here, they're building another subdivision there. Ugh, just increase your density, fools. Which actually, having a line like this would help with, by the way. But anyway, you have it down there, because, yeah, this is actually downtown proper. But again, it splits into one-ways for a little bit. George Fox University is right here, which is actually a deceptively large university in Oregon. And then, of course, we have this area, and again, the rest going west. So I figured this was the most logical compromise for people to be able to access the most easy. So that's why I put the stop there for Newburgh. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Sherwood, which has an accidentally oversized and overfattened station right here, which is, of course, where we saw in the last video where one of the metro lines, the Southeast Express. And, of course, last but not least, we have the Oregon City Stayton line. Yes, you heard me right. The Stayton line. And again, the last video will show you that both the Cascadia ICE line going through here, as well as, of course, the, I think it might have been a different stop, but St. Johnny Boys to OC, Oregon City line, connecting into here of the metro system. So the first stop on this one, of course, is Oregon City. Technically, this is almost Gladstone, because Gladstone is literally directly across the Clackamas River. And then, of course, it goes down, and you have a stop in Canby, which there's a lot more stuff that goes on in the Clackamas County Fairgrounds now than just the fair and the rodeo, which is really cool. There's the Renaissance Fair, the main big Renaissance Fair in Oregon, which used to take place in this place a little ways off in Corvallis. I guess there's more Corvallis in Dallas. It's like in between the two, a little bit tucked away in the foothills of the Coast Range. And then, of course, in Eugene. And now they actually are hosting dates for like 4 or 5 days sometimes, multiple times a year here at the Canby Fairgrounds, or the Clackamas County Fairgrounds. And by the way, if you want as close to real fair as you can get in Oregon, I highly recommend you go to the Clackamas County Fair. It is my favorite fair by far, because it is close to a old-fashioned proper fair rather than what all the rest are, which are just advertisers fairs, like the Washington County Fair, the Clark County Fair, the freaking Oregon State Fair. They're just advertisers fairs at this point. So Canby gets a stop, which makes, I think, perfect sense. Bypass Aurora. Obviously, you have a stop again. You stop at the stop in Woodbury. Also, they have the new Amazon complex, which is literally, I think it's all of this. Yeah, it is. So this whole thing is Amazon. It's just a nonstop Amazon massive warehouse. Brutal. Apparently they're developing back here. I did not know that. Behind the outlets. That's unfortunate, but at least it looks like they're going to be apartments, although they look like they're supposed to be luxury apartment homes. You know, bypass Kaiser, you're going to take the stop that the ICE line does, which is in Salem here. I can't remember exactly where it is. It's either here. It's somewhere in this slot. I'd have to open back up. It might actually even be up here. I don't think it is that far, though. It's probably somewhere in here. Realistically, looking at this, I know how I do these things. I guarantee I put it somewhere about here, because you got main thoroughfare here that connects all of these areas up. So, and then you of course have Stayton. So it's one of the few stop lines, despite how long of a line it actually is. But yeah, I figured that made a lot of sense. There is a difficulty in trying to identify how to make more lines than just this to serve the valley for the Oregon LYNX system, because of course I would like to connect up places like Malala and Incestacada. I would like to connect all these different communities up like this. I thought about like that, and then maybe doing something like, say, going from here, or even doing this, something like this. Realistically, I'd like to go from here, hook up here, cut in through here. So maybe you can actually hitch both of these stops. Then that connects them side to side to each other, which actually is intelligent, because then you're going to hook up the Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail stop in Salem with the rest of the lines as well, even though you already have this line doing that. But east-west, it connects it up, so then these small towns actually have another direct accessibility point with that. And then you would be able to actually have potentially a West Salem stop, although if you're stopping here, cutting through, that would potentially be an issue. And then you could just hook it up to Dallas, or again, you could have it go like that, and then curve down and hitch back into Independence. Either stop there, since it already has, you're already connecting to this line, which is actually probably logical. But you can start to see where that starts to complicate things, because then you have to select, okay, where are you going to put it? And the idea is I want it to be fairly frequent, so I don't want to have the issues dealing with it. You know, it's only doing small towns, so the frequency probably would not be able to be very high. Anyway, so next video, that means, is going to be the Cascadia ICE line. It's a notably higher stop version of the Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail, because obviously Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail would only have the 5 stops that I proposed. Feel free to leave a comment down in the, I keep wanting to say description lately, I don't know why. You know what, I'm going to encourage you to try to leave a comment in the description of this video. It's not going to work, but at least you can try, Harold. And I hope to see you in whatever the next video is. But yeah, be sure to leave what your concepts might be and how you might remedy some of these cross-valley connective lines and connections as well. Like, obviously this looks logical. You could literally, in fact, you could literally do this. You could connect Woodburn or Canby and then just go like this down into Stayton, or sorry, Stayton, Silverton, Stayton, and then curve and hit up Albany and Corvallis. Maybe I will make that a cross valley line. That actually seems highly logical and very intelligent. So actually, you know what? I think I will do that. I did it. I did the thing. I did this actually like a week or two after I recorded that the video you're watching. But anyway, here it is. Here is the cross valley line that I conceived. I actually hesitated and finally decided that I would intentionally extend it north, so that, again, I could attach to in Cascadia, north of Malala, and then actually Sandy, and therefore it would only make sense to go and connect up to the metro systems I have via Gresham. So that way you guys have that ability to go and transit all the way through these whole areas. Fun fact, you could very easily justify a spur line / a slight metro line extension, the St. John's Oregon City Metro, because I have it going to the south end here of Oregon City because of all this extra development that's steadily pretty much increasing and happening down here, as you can see. So it made total sense. You have a lot of the things like the main high schools down here and everything. Anyway, so that you could theoretically just yank down south. You see how quick it is to be able to hook up and hitch up to this line here, and then they could just take it the rest of the way south, which isn't all that far, down to Malala to make a direct connection. And so you'd be giving people 2 different options to be able to go either connect up to the metro system and network via Gresham here, or down via Oregon City. You got to stop here in Gresham, downtown Gresham. What is like the modern downtown that is. You bypass Boring here. Even though you could theorize putting a stop in there is fine, especially considering you're already stopping at small towns. But I figured it's just one too many stops. So obviously Sandy here is going to have its stop in downtown. In Cascadia, sharp curve, of course, across the Briggy. And of course, you try to use as much of the pre-existing infrastructure as possible. Obviously, sometimes you're going to ignore the curves that it naturally has, especially in a viaduct. You can afford to do that. So you can cut down on speed limitations. Then you have another curve here. And obviously, you're going to eventually end up finding yourself going to Malala after Incensicada. Incest Cicada. So here's your Malala stop, of course. Of course, the next stop is going to be here in Silverton. And then natural, in fact, yeah, I wanted to originally, and my original plan and plot was to slap it down and plop it right here. Not only is the rail here, but you have this nice slight little hill here, and it's just this nice gap, you know, that I thought this makes perfect sense to develop into a proper like station, you know. You could make it intermodal, be super freaking cool, but it doesn't really make sense because it's not very central. And everybody's going to be wanting to go central Silverton because I know there's all the shops and stores there, but that's how they're going to navigate naturally, which is the only reason why people usually go to Silverton. If it's not the Oregon Gardens, it's usually going to be, and almost exclusively going to be, Silver Falls State Park, which of course is up through here. So, you know, it's about the logistics and where, you know, demographics are going to be trying to be sifting themselves through into. Then, of course, we have the station here for Stayton. You could even call it Stayton Almsville, because Almsville is just next door. It's not that far away. But anyway, then, of course, you go through here. Head suit. Hit up Albany. The station, of course, I put right in here. I think it's technically, yeah, right here. Because I think this is technically the Amtrak station for Albany of all locations for some stupid reason. So that's where I placed it. And then, of course, you go tunnel through. And the last station of them all, of course, is the one that I put down here for Corvallis. So that is the Cross Valley line. Here you can see how it connects up with the two southeast, the two southeast metro lines. So the Southeast Express here, and then, of course, the Powell Metro. Here's your connectivity with the Better WES. You see how the West Valley line, of course, hooks up in Sherwood to connect with the Southeast Express Metro line. So now, technically, this Cross Valley and the West Valley regional line connect up in the north in the Portland area via the Southeast Express, and in the south at Corvallis, which I think is just really freaking cool to have that kind of inter-networking and crossovers. Obviously, Oregon City Stayton, that connects you up into this metro line as well. Wah-bum-bum-bum-bum. Wah-bam. In fact, technically, you don't even have to extend this metro down here to connect into Malala either, so that you have another loop for this region so people have, you know, connectivity and accessibility throughout here. Just because of the fact that this other line, you literally can, you're still attaching back into this this same St. John's Oregon City Metro line. Well, you already have the Oregon City Stayton line. And at Stayton, you already have the connectivity to the Southeast or the Cross Valley line here. But you still could do that too, because again, as many options as possible is the right and intelligent option always. And then, of course, you have the Cascadia Intercity Express or ICE line that we'll see in the next episode. Interacting. And then last but not least, because I forgot to do this by accident, here is, and I thought I did do it, here is the interaction between the two, and of course the whole rail system thus far with Cascadia Ultra High Speed Rail. So this is the system thus far. I digress. Let me leave my wow. Leave your suggestions and your concepts in the comments below on what you think of the LYNX concept. Obviously, once we do the ICE, then I can show you the entire network system in terms of the rail lines, not the bus system yet for the west side. But yeah, so that way you guys have a good idea. And eventually I am going to try to probably do the same kind of LYNX idea, but with the western part of Washington here, mainly the Sound region, of course the Vancouver area. Well, I say Vancouver, it's not that sprawling, but the Puget Sound region. And then, of course, eventually I'll probably kick myself to do it properly with the Fraser Valley. All right, that's what you have to look forward to as well, and I hope to see you whatever my next video may be. Stay safe out there, or not, it's your choice. And I'm going to go get hit and pulverized by a truck. It's not like I haven't said that 5,000 times in a row. All right, well, at least it's fun. My kind of fun.